step outside on a clear sunny day, but then the light disappears. A shadow, wider than a fighter jet, glides silently overhead. It's not a plane, it's not a bird. It's something far older, far stranger. What if the skies were still ruled by a flying reptile the size of a giraffe? What if Quetzalcoatlus never went extinct? In the final chapters of the Age of Dinosaurs, a shadow patrolled the sky so vast it could cast darkness over entire herds of sauropods. It wasn't a T-Rex or some sea monster of the deep. No, this predator came from above. It was called Quetzalcoatlus, and it wasn't just the largest pterosaur ever found in North America. It may have been the largest flying creature to ever exist on Earth. Discovered in 1971 by a geology student in Texas, its bones were unlike anything paleontologists had ever seen. At first, they thought it was a mistake. The wing bones stretched impossibly long, the neck was absurdly extended, and the beak, razor-sharp, toothless, and longer than most grown adults, seemed designed for something predatory, but no one could quite agree on what. Still, one thing was certain: they had unearthed something monumental. Its wingspan was originally estimated at a jaw-dropping 21 meters, wider than a modern F-22 Raptor. That figure has since been revised to a still massive 10 to 12 meters, around 36 to 39 feet, placing it far above even the wandering albatross, the largest bird alive today. When standing, it reached giraffe height, roughly 18 feet tall, but unlike any giraffe, it could leap into the air and glide for miles with powerful strokes of its colossal wings. Named after an Aztec god, this pterosaur carried divine scale and mythic mystery, and it earned that title. Unlike the smaller pterosaurs that skimmed oceans and lakes, it ruled the inland plains. Its skeleton was both massive and delicate, built with hollow bones that made flight possible without sacrificing size. Scientists recognize two species, the smaller Quetzalcoatlus lawsoni and the giant Northropi, named after John Northrop, a pioneer in aircraft design. And it's fitting, Northropi was essentially nature's stealth bomber, silent, deadly, and far faster than anything on the ground could hope to outrun. But its appearance defied logic. When grounded, it walked on all fours, wings folded like limbs. It had a long, S-curved neck like a serpent and lanky legs that trailed behind it like stilts. If you saw it in motion, you might think you were watching a giraffe fused with a bat, moving like a bird but stalking like a predator. This wasn't a bird. It wasn't a dragon. It was something in between. A relic of a world where size wasn't limited by gravity, only by imagination. It sounds impossible. A creature the size of a small plane? Flying? It defies everything we know about gravity, muscle power, and physics. And yet, Quetzalcoatlus did it. Or at least, that's what most scientists believe. For years, paleontologists wrestled with a burning question. How could something so massive get off the ground? Early theories suggested it couldn't. Some believed it was simply too heavy, ground-bound, stalking prey like a stork, wings useless except as a bluff. But those theories didn't hold up for long. Modern research, fueled by computer models and biomechanics, revealed a different picture. Quetzalcoatlus didn't fly like a bird. It flew like a four-limbed catapult. Using its powerful hind legs and front limbs, it could vault itself into the air in a motion unlike any modern flyer. Think of a vampire bat launching, except now imagine that bat is the size of a giraffe. Once airborne, it could switch to soaring flight, catching thermals and gliding over vast distances. In fact, studies suggest it could cruise at speeds of 80 miles per hour for 7 to 10 days, covering entire continents without landing. Some estimates even place it at altitudes of 15,000 feet, high above today's clouds, flying higher than most commercial airliners. But would that still be possible in our world? Modern skies are crowded, filled with airliners, satellites, weather balloons, and drones. Urban light pollution would interfere with its migration. Changes in oxygen levels and climate might reduce its lift. And today's atmosphere is slightly less conducive to soaring giants than the warm, oxygen-rich Late Cretaceous. Its massive wings were ultra-thin but strong. Its breastbone, where the flight muscles anchored, was thick and reinforced, and its lightweight skeleton gave it the aerodynamic profile of a living glider. Would it need to adapt? Probably, but scientists believe it could still fly, just less often. It might take off only when truly needed, to escape predators, migrate between hunting grounds, or dive bomb prey from above. The rest of the time, it would dominate the land, walking with eerie grace, wings folded, like a dragon biding its time. And if you looked up, on the right day, in the right place, you just might catch a glimpse of this prehistoric ghost, gliding silently between the clouds, a titan that time forgot, but gravity never conquered. If Quetzalcoatlus still soared above us today, one question would matter more than any other. What would it eat? Because any creature that big needs a serious fuel supply, and if it couldn't find enough food, well, it might come looking for something it shouldn't. Some believed it was a scavenger, swooping down on rotting dinosaur carcasses like a vulture from the skies. Others thought it skimmed rivers like a modern seabird, catching fish on the fly. But both theories had flaws. Its fossils were found far from coastlines, making the fish hunter idea unlikely. And its beak, long, thin, and toothless, was poorly suited for tearing flesh from a sauropod corpse. Then came a breakthrough. In 2008, a new idea took hold. Quetzalcoatlus was a terrestrial stalker. Picture it walking across dry riverbeds and open grasslands like a stork on stilts, hunting small dinosaurs, mammals, reptiles, and even amphibians. It didn't need to fly to eat. It just needed a wide view and a long neck. Now imagine that predator dropped into our world. Livestock would be easy prey. Sheep, goats, even calves, anything small and slow-moving. Rural farms might become hunting grounds. Hikers in national parks could spot one silently stalking rabbits or raccoons. And if it were desperate enough, pets might vanish. A medium-sized dog could disappear without a trace. But here's the twist. It wasn't a mindless killer. Like large raptors today, it likely hunted strategically, conserving energy, flying only when necessary, and targeting isolated or vulnerable animals. It might rely on elevated roosts, gliding down to strike before retreating into forested cliffs or open plateaus. It may have also scavenged when it could, feasting on roadkill or unattended carcasses. In that sense, it might behave a bit like a vulture, a bit like a hawk, and a lot like something alien. And no, it probably wouldn't hunt humans. We're too large, too upright, and too noisy. But would it watch us? Would it follow? Circle above? Waiting for a quiet opportunity? In the end, its presence alone would reshape the food chain. Birds of prey would become targets. Deer would have a new predator, and our skies would no longer be safe. It's one thing to imagine it in a museum or a textbook, but if it never went extinct, where would it actually live? Where could a giraffe-sized flyer nest hunt and rule without running into cars, buildings, and terrified humans? To answer that, we need to go back in time. Fossils of Quetzalcoatlus were first discovered in the dry, elevated plains of what is now Texas, specifically in the Javelina Formation, a region filled with sparse woodlands. shallow rivers, and open skies. It wasn't a coastal flyer, it was inland. And it lived in a world with few tall trees, little rainfall, and wide visibility in every direction. Now fast forward 70 million years. That same terrain still exists, just in different places. Think deserts, mountain ranges, and remote canyons. The American Southwest, the Andes, Australia's outback, the Mongolian steppe. These are the places Quetzalcoatlus would likely call home. In fact, it might avoid cities altogether. Noise pollution, air traffic, and human infrastructure would be overwhelming for an animal built to roam in silence. But in protected national parks, in towering cliffside nests, you might just spot one. It could roost high above forested valleys, perched like a dragon in stone alcoves, wings folded like a sleeping nightmare. From there, it could scan the world below, tracking prey across miles of land with a single turn of its narrow head. During colder months, it might migrate across continents, gliding effortlessly above the clouds. Like the great birds of today, it could follow seasonal winds to warmer regions. But unlike birds, its migration might stretch thousands of miles, uninterrupted by predators, its shadow crossing entire countries in a single journey. If it ruled the skies today, our wild places would no longer feel quite so empty. Every remote hiking trail, every desert canyon, every silent sunrise might carry the thrill and the danger of something massive stirring above. If Quetzalcoatlus still ruled the sky, it wouldn't just change ecosystems, it would change us. At first, there would be awe. Drone footage of a living shadow soaring over a valley. Viral clips of something massive circling above a desert highway. Scientists would scramble to study it. News anchors would stammer through its name. Documentaries would follow its every flight path. A prehistoric giant reborn? That's the kind of story that shatters the internet. But fascination would quickly give way to fear. Imagine a 500-pound flying predator landing near a school, perched on a rooftop, scanning the ground below with reptilian eyes. Even if it never touched a human, fear alone would be enough to trigger panic. Cities would issue aerial alerts. Governments would deploy drones to track it. Entire regions might be closed off to protect or contain it. And then there's the real-world tension. What do we do with a creature like this? Protect it like an endangered species? Track it like a potential threat? Or try to control it? There would be factions. Conservationists would demand it be left alone. It's a miracle of evolution, they'd say. Others, especially those living near it, would want it removed, or worse, eliminated. Farmers whose livestock vanish in the night. Hikers who feel hunted. Pilots reporting near misses at 10,000 feet. And in the shadows, governments and militaries would almost certainly be watching, studying, wondering, could it be trained, replicated, used? Some might treat it like a national security threat, others like a sacred animal, but no one would ignore it. A flying apex predator isn't just a curiosity, it's a game changer. Over time, tourism would spike. Sky safaris in remote regions, giant nets to monitor nesting sites, national parks turned into high-tech sanctuaries. There would be a whole economy built around it. Merch, movies, virtual reality experiences. The myth would become a brand. But make no mistake, beneath all that fascination would lie a cold, quiet truth. We wouldn't be in control anymore. Because in a world where Quetzalcoatlus still flies, humans are no longer the only rulers of the skies. Now imagine this: a Quetzalcoatlus gliding through the upper atmosphere, and a commercial airplane suddenly veers off course. The pilot reports a near collision. Passengers panic. News spreads like wildfire. The skies are no longer safe. It's only a matter of time before something goes wrong. An aircraft engine damaged mid-flight, a herding community losing too many animals, a tourist missing after wandering too close to a nesting site. The creature may not intend to harm humans, but when you're that big, accidents are inevitable. Suddenly, the question isn't how amazing is this discovery, it's how do we survive it? Drones, flight restrictions, military no-fly zones? National airspace becomes more than regulated, it becomes weaponized. Protesters clash with policymakers. Conservationists beg for restraint. Locals beg for safety. And all the while, the Quetzalcoatlus continues its silent patrol, unaware, or perhaps. The world today is loud, crowded, and engineered for convenience. But long before skyscrapers, jet engines, or satellites, there was something else soaring above, something vast, something ancient. And if it still ruled the skies, we might just remember how small we really are. Do you think we could survive sharing the skies with a flying giant? Or would we end up as the endangered species? Until next time, on Our Planet Extinct.